Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately called IPA-USA. IPA-USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. You can find more about IPA World at ipaworld.org and more about IPA-USA at ipa-usa.org. As part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced these Porch Play Chats, which are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm the president of IPA USA. With me on the porch today is Ellen Cogan. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, good to see you.
Ellen's been involved in the early childhood field from her undergraduate days, and she says many lifetimes ago, but she's still very young. She has presented at conferences, she's taught child development, she's consulted with large and small programs and continues to do so. And she is an advocate for young children and their families. She is really focused on providing staff development and parenting workshops on the pyramid model and serving as an implementation planner to early Head Start childcare partnerships. And Ellen at her website, earlychildinfo.com, really helps adults help young children. And today's topic is so important. Sometimes I think we struggle as educators in helping parents get on board with what a play-based program is and what it looks like. So Ellen is going to help us today with that very question, helping parents get on board with the play-based program. Ellen, we need this.
Thank you.
Where do we start?
Okay, we really start at before registration when parents call to see do you have room for their child? Are you interested? What kind of program do you have? If your program has a website, make sure it has pictures of children engaged in play on the website. And next to the picture, put a little bit about some of the kinds of learning they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you see a child pouring something. I have to not be blurry. A child is pouring something. So you have next to the picture of the child, you have a list of the things that the child can be learning by pouring something.
Mm-hmm.
That when you take the liquid out of the container, it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Even babies have to learn that. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know that it always goes down. Um, that the liquid doesn't go everywhere. It goes where you pour it. So
Mm-hmm.
all those kinds of things can be listed. So if you have 3 or 4 different pictures of children engaged in different types of learning, some engaged with each other, some by themselves, and you have some of the things that they're learning from it, this will entice the parents to want their children to be in this program where they get to learn so much. And then when you meet with them, you discuss the whole idea of children learning through play.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to, from the time I was in the classroom, I used to have, well, everybody had meetings at the beginning of the school year. And I taught in a school district that had all the kindergartens in one building.
Mm-hmm.
There was busing everywhere. And we all had the parent meeting. And I said to the parents, most of the other children are going to come home with prettier things than your children are going to come home with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you right now that I know how to color and I know how to paste and I know how to make simple pictures of things. You don't need to see that. You
Right.
need to see what your child can do at the beginning of the year
Mm-hmm.
how your child's work progresses and what it looks like towards the end of the year. So you can see how much your child is learning
Mm-hmm.
from your child's self chosen activities.
And that's a beautiful way for teachers to explain how the cutesy little crafty stuff that we force children to do is not really creative, nor representative of what they can do and understand, especially when the teacher is putting their hand with the googly eye on the piece of paper.
Oh, I get crazy from that. I now you know me, and some of the people who have been watching along are beginning to know me. And you know
Mhm.
that I'm kind of a radical.
Mhm.
Have been since I was a kid. I think about what it is you're teaching the child.
Mhm.
So when you are putting things on the child's picture,
Mhm.
you're teaching the child that they're not good enough to make that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's what we never want to teach children.
No. Well, and one of the other things I love that scenario about how you said to parents, your child won't come home with those cutesy things because that's not how they learn, right? And so,
And
what
I ask
other?
them, I always ask them, I said, if this is a problem for you, you don't need to say it now at the meeting. You could
Mhm.
just send me a note or leave me a message to call you.
Mhm.
You know, no one ever did.
Uh-huh. Right.
Here,
Because once they got done with it, they figured out, oh, well, you don't need that stuff that they send home. That isn't really my child's work. And so, what else can we do to help parents? I love the photos. And I just want to clarify because sometimes people think play is different than what I think play is. And so, play is not children sitting at a table working on something that the teacher decided they were going to work on.
it's their own,
Play, play is not a worksheet.
never.
Play is not children rotating through areas of the classroom every 15 or 20 minutes. And
That's
so that you're it's not that you're putting photos on the website of children doing academics, that you're putting photos on the website that show what children are learning while they're doing this child chosen activity, right? And
exactly.
so, yeah, so I think sometimes we think parents want to see the academics because parents want and let's just be honest, parents want their children to be successful in school. And if they struggled in school, they really want their child to be successful in school. But what what the disconnect is that pushing down those academics early isn't going to get them ready for school. So it's this what we want is not what we're getting because of the approach that we're taking. And so I think and your example was perfect. This is what we need to help parents understand, that learning their ABCs has nothing to do with learning to read.
Well,
Writing their
it does.
name before
I
they go
mean,
to
they
kindergarten
it does.
has
I mean, they can't read if they don't know the ABCs. But all the other things, I mean, if they don't have a rich vocabulary, they could learn to decode words, but they don't know what it means.
right. And they don't really need the ABCs, they need the phonic sounds, right? But that comes when teachers read to them, right? And you're like, what is that sound I keep hearing in this book? What is that sound? And then, oh, I wonder what letter makes that sound. It's a totally different approach than this is the letter of the week, which has no significance at all, and helping children
Uh,
learn to read.
okay, so how else can we get parents on board?
Mm,
One of the things we can do as if you're a program administrator you can send out a little newsletter every month focusing one of the groups or classrooms and some feature of play that the children especially did this month and why
Mhm.
it's important to their development and what do they learn from it.
Yes, yes.
Um,
When I was teaching, one of the things I put on my, you know how you did daily notes, right? But in preschool, you just sort of wrote about the whole day. I didn't do that. I talked to parents when they picked up, but one of the things I did put on my door was ask me about, and then whatever fun thing we did, because, they get in the car. What did you do today? We played. Good. But ask me about the science experiment we did, or ask me about, the bug we found outside, or ask me about whatever it was that was something that would be a conversation starter in the car, where parents would go, oh, they are learning something. They're not just playing, because back then play, and I think it still is a 4-letter word that, people go, oh, they're not learning when they're playing, instead of they're playing and they're learning. And, but it's not the opposite, right? It's not, they're learning because I'm giving them things that I think might be playful, but it's not child initiated.
they're learning through their own discovery and
Mhm.
observation and
Yes.
investigation.
So
And
talk a little bit louder, Ellen.
I'm
Talk.
sorry,
Yeah, there we go.
they're learning primarily through their own investigation and discovery. They're
Mhm.
learning when they interact with the other children. They're learning to solve problems. When
Mhm.
adults give them things to do, they don't learn to solve problems.
No.
If we want our children to grow up being problem solvers, the best way to do it is to let them solve problems, not to initiate the problems for them because they may not be interested in those problems. But
Um,
when they have free access to investigate and join in with one another or say to one another as they do often, let's do this. No, I want to do it that way. Oh, but I want to do it this way. All of this is teaching them problem
mhm.
solving. It's teaching them negotiation. It's
Mhm.
teaching them to work together.
Mhm.
And they can't learn that when they're just being told what to do over and over again.
And they can't learn to regulate their bodies if they're being told when they're hungry, when to go to the bathroom, and how to solve the problem, right? They can't learn that regulation that they need until they experience it in their own environment with something that's relevant, meaningful to them, right? So, sometimes when teachers say, we're going to put the toy in the closet because you can't play nicely with it, I'm like, why? That's a perfect learning experience for children. Why are you doing that? I don't understand why you think you need to do that. You could ask the question, what happened? You know, oh, that's a problem. What should we do? There was a documentary, and this was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and a wonderful teacher, and I can't remember the name of the documentary, which is awful, but she used puppets. Oh no, she didn't use puppets. I used puppets in the classroom, but she used her coworker. And so there would be a scuffle in the classroom about something. And so the teachers would gather all the children and they would say, something happened. And then they would reenact what happened, pretending to be the two people. And they would say, this is a problem. What should we do? And it was amazing, the ideas that the children came up with, but they were taking the problem that had come up with two of the children in the classroom and reenacting it and getting children to solve the issues. They did not solve the issues. They said, what should we do? We're really mad at each other. We don't want to be friends anymore. It was a beautiful example of how you get children engaged in that problem solving. Well, you could try this. Would this work? Could you try this? It was beautiful. But sometimes I think both parents and teachers think that they have to solve it instead of, well, what do you think we should do? Instead of, this is what you're going to do.
It reminds me of a little video in the pyramid model training
Mm-hmm.
where they have a, a, a piece about solutions. And if a
Mm-hmm.
problem comes up, they say, what are some solutions that might work?
Good vocabulary too.
Do you think it will work? Will it be safe?
Mm-hmm.
Will everybody be okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
And then they could try it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes I found them a little bit contrived, but they're working on updating it, so I'm eager to see what the new ones are going to be like. But a number of years ago, I went to a NACI conference, and one of the authors of the project approach was there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember who it was.
Lillian Katz,
No,
maybe.
it wasn't I know Lillian, and I know the other two also, but I don't remember both their names as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but her daughter was going for a PhD or some kind of high degree in marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and so she came home, and the mother, one of the authors, said, "Well, how could we market the pyramid, the project approach?"
Mm-hmm.
And she told her to take pictures and blow them up to like at least 8 by 10 and put them in the hallways.
Mm-hmm.
Children engaged in learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then next to the picture, put all the different learnings they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I came home from the conference and I was working with a program in the Bronx. And the next day was graduation. So I told the director about this. And she right away asked all the teachers to give her some pictures because they were planning portfolios anyway, so they had the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent somebody out to have them made bigger. I think they were
Mm-hmm.
11 by 14.
Oh,
And she
wow.
put them up in the hallway with the NACI learning modules or what
The
performance
competencies, the professional
right,
competencies.
for
Uh-huh.
competencies. You know, everyone has different performance standards, competencies, core
Mm-hmm.
body of knowledge, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she put them up. And the next day, when the parents came in and walked down the halls, they saw all this
Mm-hmm.
and they were freaking out. And this was a school called, I'm not going to say the name of the school, but it's something for the learning disabled. That was the
Oh, okay.
title of the school.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely special ed school. And I loved the way they did the graduation. They had a big auditorium, but they had each class come in one at a time. One class came in, sang a song that the children decided right then what they were going to sing,
Mm-hmm.
and all the parents took the pictures, and then they went and into the lunchroom where everybody had lunch together.
Nice.
So it was not this big performance.
Oh, yeah.
And because it was a special ed school, they had a lot of therapy people. So all of them came and helped the children be up on the stage. And those who didn't want to do anything just stood there with somebody holding their hand.
Mm-hmm.
It was very humanistic and
Mm-hmm.
appropriate. But so I was like near the entrance helping people go in and out and whatever. And the parents kept coming over to me and saying, I never thought my child was learning so much
Mm-hmm.
because they saw the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been using that idea forever since then.
I
And
love it.
really,
One
it,
of the other things that because I'm a professor. So one of the other things that I do in my classes with college students is I'll tell them another resource to use that describes what the children are doing and how it's meeting learning standards is to use your early learning standards in your state, right?
Yep.
Fortunately, in Pennsylvania, we have fabulous ones. So if your state has two academically focused standards, look for the Pennsylvania early learning standards. They're amazing.
And
And the
also,
very first, oh yeah, they're amazing. And the very first domain of development is approaches to learning. That's the most important, right? And so my students then, when they're aligning, creating lesson plans that are play-based and child-centered and based on what children are interested in, are then aligning many different standards integrated in a way, because children learn through an integrated learning. And they're even getting, because some of these are classroom teachers already coming back to school, they're even saying parents are amazed at all of the standards I cover in a day because my program is play-based.
right.
And so if we can help parents, I agree with you, we can help. I mean, parents should be our biggest advocates, right? Because of what we're doing in classrooms. But they do need to understand that when you push down academics too early and you don't allow children to develop those prerequisites to all the learning, curiosity, discovery, exploration, repetition, then we're really not doing what we want the long-term outcome to be, which is children to be successful in whatever it is they're doing. I mean, there are lots of kids out there who are successful, who are not successful academically, but they're very successful because of who they are. And so, I think that that's why this Porch Play Chat is so important, because we need to help parents see that, if we think of Gardner's multiple intelligences, not all of us are great at math. And
And
not,
all of us can if we play with it.
yeah. And if it's not, yeah.
Important math concepts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we know how to multiply the square root of this by the integer of that. What we need to understand is that many smaller things will fit in a large thing, and many
Mm-hmm.
large things won't fit in a small thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
math learning.
Uh-huh. Math is everywhere. But
And
when students have to take, the pre-service academic test for educators that some states have, and unfortunately Pennsylvania does, um, when teachers have to say that, the math is the one that they're most terrified of. And I always say, why is that? What happened to you that made you so afraid of math? And then we use that experience to back them up. And it is typically, the 1 minute math equations that you had to do, or the math test. It had nothing to do with playing with manipulatives and learning math through it was all the testing and all the where they felt like they were failing the whole time
right.
instead of understanding the concepts. And so that also helps them recognize that when they're working with children, why worksheets don't work, why children need to be playful with manipulatives, why they need to be describing and giving them the math vocabulary instead of trying to teach them math. And so, those personal experiences that people have can be used to help them see what best practice looks like in the classroom. And it can help parents see why play is so important.
Okay, there's two things I want to not forget to bring
Mhm.
up. One of them is homework. A lot of parents feel that children need homework.
Right.
So I tell them homework is to involve yourself with something joyful with your child.
Mhm.
2 times a week if you can, because some of them are working multiple jobs and they're almost
Mhm.
never seeing their kids. And either sit them on your lap and read them a book and
Mhm.
ask them, where's the little bunny? Where's the frog? Or whatever is in the book.
Mhm.
Um, or just help, um, let them help you cook something and stir
Mhm.
something. Just
Mhm.
do something joyful
Mhm.
with the child so they understand that learning something can be joyful.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's not drudgery.
When you learn something, you can say, I didn't know how to make this before, and I'm learning how. And
Mhm.
can you hold this? Can you put it in the bowl for me? And so together, oh, we're learning and we made this. Do we like it? Should we make it again?
Mhm.
So you can do that with almost anything.
Of course.
And just spending involved time with the child is the best homework there could ever be.
I know. And parents are exhausted. Sometimes they're working multiple jobs. Sometimes they've really had a bad day at work. And the last thing, I always say to future teachers, homework is just busy work. If you need to be doing and have active hands-on experiences in the classroom, children do not need homework because parents get home and the time that should be joyful, interacting with each other, having wonderful conversations, developing strong relationships, is spent with a parent fighting with the child to do their homework. And so we're not helping the situation when we send home homework. And unfortunately I've seen preschool teachers send home homework and I'm like, stop it. What Nobody needs homework. They need to be outside playing. They need to be inside having a conversation with an adult. They need to not We shouldn't be creating this conflictual situation between parents and children. Parents have so few waking hours with their children as it is. And so, sometimes we have to just look at the whole homework issue and say, it's not healthy for parents or children to have to do that. If they haven't learned it in the classroom, then you need to change how you're teaching.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's a travesty that we're in that we need to really move away from. And there are some schools that are moving that way that are saying we are a no homework school. And
Um,
parents question it, but then if you give them the reasons why, and they're so relieved, they're like, oh my God, I don't have to sit at the table with them while I'm trying to make supper. And then we have to brush teeth and we have to read a bedtime story and we have to go to bed and I'm exhausted. That they the parents then go, oh, because again, they had to do homework. And so they think in order for children to be in school, they need to do homework. So we need to sort of help break that mindset. Yes. And so, how else can we help parents understand the importance of play?
well, we can occasionally, not often, send home short articles or links to little videos
Mm-hmm.
so that parents can see children in the action of
Mm-hmm.
playing and learning. Um, and they can also be encouraged to just do something with the child and sit back without talking
Mm-hmm.
and say, what do you think might happen?
Mm-hmm.
Or what do you wonder about?
Mm-hmm.
How can we find out?
Mm-hmm.
These are questions that help children learn and help parents see that children are really learning.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. Those are such great questions for parents and teachers to ask. I mean, this goes for teachers as well as families. If you're getting ready to do something or you have some materials on the table, what do you think might happen? How do you think that works? You don't have to be the knowledgeable person that teaches it. If you ask the questions and let them have the time to explore it and discover it, they can come up with their own answers. And so those are all wonderful tips that we can use both in the classroom and giving parents some tips to do at home. We would send home, when I was teaching, I was in Colorado. So we had lots of snow days. And so we would send home, here's the snow day activity kit. These are things you have in your kitchen. So if it's snowing outside and you need something to keep your child busy, here's the Play-Doh recipe. here's an activity you can do that is hands-on and experiential. And parents really said, I got my snow day activities out, and that's what kept us sane all day long. And so that was, those things that you can do for parents. But I will say, as much as I hate technology for children, probably the best piece of technology that teachers can have are those apps that are parent communication apps. Tadpole, Camboo, I can't remember what some of the others are. Dojo, I think, is another one. Those are the best parent engagement. What parent doesn't want a picture of their child sent to them in the middle of the day doing some fun thing? And then, it's a great marketing tool for you because the parent says, look what I just got from my child's child care program. And they'll say, what? My program doesn't do that. And so, it's a great marketing tool for you, but it's also
And
such.
when you send the picture, if you also send 2 or 3 things
Yes,
aligned with the guidelines or your assessment system or the
yeah,
nursery about
yes,
what the child is learning from that,
yeah, absolutely fabulous. And so if you can tie these
that's
things
your big win.
together. Yes, go ahead, Ellen. I'm sorry.
That's your big win.
It's a huge win. It's a huge win for the parent who's so excited that you took the time to take a picture of their child and tell them what they were doing and what they were learning. It's a huge win for the child when the parent comes home and says, I saw the picture of what you were doing. And that's a wonderful conversation starter. It's a huge win for the program because other parents will talk about all the wonderful things that you're doing with their children. It is a win, win, win. And so think of it as we're finishing up. Think about all of the strategies that Ellen has given us. She's told us to blow up pictures of real children in your program and that are playing in child initiated discovery, active learning, and then describe what the children are doing and what they're learning, aligning it with the state standards or the professional competencies from NAEYC or the accreditation standards if you need to, or the Head Start performance standards if you need to, whatever your program is required to align with, and put those up in the hallway so parents are immersed
Yes.
in how play is how children learn.
Yes.
Use those apps for families. Align it with whatever you need to align it with. Send home, send home the snow day kits or the bad weather kits, whatever you have that are active learning. Give parents a grocery list if they don't have cream of tartar, or send them a recipe for Play-Doh that doesn't need cream of tartar, and there's several. Do those kinds of parent engagement strategies, and parents will be coming to you going, yes, I can see the progress. Document children's learning through photographs, develop portfolios with their pictures and your evidence. Oh my goodness. There are so many ways that we can help children, help families, and help our program, all by showing our competence as educators. all those things,
And always including joy.
always including joy. It has to be joyful or they're not going to learn. And that's, one of the definitions. I think it was Stuart Brown that said, um, one of the definitions of play is joyful, right? It might have been Peter Gray. I know what they both look like, but I read so much of them that
Well,
either one of those said play is joyful.
not all the time. I mean, realistically, there's conflict. There's, oh, I don't know how to do this. I'm putting this block on and it's falling down. Every time I put it on, it falls down. And then when they get it, there's the joy.
Oh, it's so joy. Yeah, sure. And it helps them overcome,
And nobody
it
ever
helps
has
them.
to say good job.
No, God, please, no, please don't say good job or way to go or nice work. Oh, my Lord. Here we go. All right. So, Ellen, thank you so much. To learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at IPAUSA.org. We have a conference, a face-to-face conference coming up in San Antonio, October 6th through 9th of 2022. It is going to be amazing. We have 22 states and 3 countries represented in the presentations. It's going to be amazing. So you'll hear more about it if you're a member. And if you're not a member, if you join our Facebook page and you subscribe to our YouTube channel, we're going to be actually doing a video and posting it on the YouTube channel about the upcoming conference. So Ellen, thank you so much. And until
Thank
next
you. I
time.
always love hanging out with you on these porch play chats.
I know we learned so much from each other. Until next time, keep on playing.
Thank you.